welcome to My Existential Crisis, the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us question our entire sense of self. My name is Madison Epley.
And I am Hailey Guffrey.
Yay! Hailey is back again. She was gone, and then she was back, and then she was gone, and now she's back again.
Yes.
What have you been up to, Hailey? Let the world know.
I just finished a show.
Yes, which is why you were gone for a little bit.
Yes, it was very long process. Very fun-ish. No, it was fun. The kitchen is still not 100% done, so it's like 99.8% done, and I'm about ready to just burn this house to the ground, to be quite honest.
What is still left to do? You got the cabinets done, though. They look great.
The cabinets are done. Yes, they do. Literally, we just have to put trim around the pantry. Okay. And that might be it. That's all we need to do. And then it's pretty much done. We need to put the coat rack up, but that's not like a necessity or anything. We'll have it done by my damn birthday party. And if we don't,
coat racks feel like
going to kill someone
in the winter.
Well,
if you have guests over, like for said birthday party.
Well, if we don't have one, people will just put them wherever.
Okay, that's true. I forgot that some people don't have coat racks.
Yeah, you forgot that some people just don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I forgot. Some people just don't care.
Yeah. I literally could not care less.
I am aware. I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware.
I'll put my coat anywhere. I'll put it on a chair. I'll put it on a couch. I'll put it on a table. I'll put it on the floor. I don't care.
I'm well aware. I'm well aware of that. I'm a little bit more particular about those things, but, that's why we balance each other out.
Yeah, you're a little more anal than I am.
Yeah, a lot more, I would say. But, you love me. It's
okay. I still love you. Don't worry.
It comes in handy sometimes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it does. Like, you're very, I wish I was a little more anal, honestly. I would be able to, be, good at more things, I feel like.
I don't know if it makes you good at more things. It just makes you stressed about more things. It just makes you want to be good at more things. And if you're not good at those things, it makes you feel bad about yourself.
Well, Madison, you're also, hypercritical of yourself, so that doesn't help in that case.
Okay, well, they usually go together is my point.
I feel like if I were super anal, I would
super anal? That sounds like a superhero.
No, it doesn't. Don't lie. Don't lie. What is their power?
No, you said the way that you said it, you said if I were super anal. Like super anal.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah, but I want you to tell me, what's their superpower?
They are meticulous about everything.
I would have said they fuck crime in the ass.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would have said.
That's also a way to put it.
Did you miss me?
I missed you so much. I missed you so freaking much. I haven't gotten to talk to you like this in so long, so I was very much missing this. I mean, I talk to you, but
right.
You
could just call me sometimes,
Yeah,
just to hear my voice.
I'm really bad at that. I'm really bad at that.
I am too.
Not just with I don't know. I'm awkward when it comes to that stuff. And I'm just also really bad at keeping up with friends. The fact that we still talk, even though I'm not living around you, honestly, I'm very proud of myself for. And that sounds like an insult to our friendship, but I'm just really bad at keeping up with people. I'm
really proud of myself for still being your friend.
Hailey, I don't talk to my dad as much as I talk to you. Think about that.
Listen, my dad lives 10 minutes away, and I don't think I talk to my dad as much as I talk to you. So
that's my point. So, I mean, I'm very proud of myself for that.
That's fair.
I think that the last time we talked was before the Taylor Swift concert. Do you want to just give us some updates?
Yeah, I went to the Taylor Swift concert.
Yes, with me.
With you, and it was great. Yeah. It was a little too long, but
Yeah, you were pretty cranky by the end.
I was so really irritated.
Cranky.
Listen, I got super drunk and then stopped drinking. Like,
I'm aware.
It was like I crashed hard.
Listen, I know how
everybody just wanted to sit in the uncomfortable seats instead of leaving and sitting in the more comfortable car. God. I was right. I stand by it.
Listen, I didn't say you were wrong. I was just going with the flow.
There are other people who would say I was wrong.
Well, Did I'm not one of them.
Did I react well? No.
No.
Was I a bitch? Yes.
Yes.
Was I wrong? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'd give you that.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it was a great show, but it was just a touch too long. Like, I started zoning out, I think, during
I think maybe if you weren't as intoxicated or if you kept drinking. I feel like
if I kept drinking, that would have been the
key.
The problem was I couldn't find any of the places, and anywhere I did find, they weren't selling anything I wanted to drink. It was so sad.
I get it. I don't like beer. I get it. It's hard. It's a hard knock life.
It's so hard. I don't like beer. I don't like seltzers. I don't like wine.
I'm not that picky.
I like wine coolers. I'm very picky.
I know.
I
left. What did I leave at your house for months and you didn't drink it? They were reds. It was hard cider.
Oh, yeah,
it wasn't even like bad. It was good stuff. It was hard cider.
I don't like
it. And you didn't drink it.
I don't like it.
Months. It was at the Taylor Swift concert. Wasn't it then?
Yeah,
you were like, we still have your reds. They were
from October.
From your last birthday party last year.
8 months.
Crazy.
8 months.
8 months.
In the fridge.
8 months.
Yeah, I don't like hard ciders. I don't like seltzers. I don't like beer. I don't like wine. That's literally pretty much leaves wine coolers.
Yeah.
And there are like a decent variety of them, but Jesus Christ, no one sells them out anymore in the world.
In the wild.
I feel lucky when I find a Mike's Hard in the world at like a bar. I'll go to a bar and they'll be like, we have Trulies, and I'm like, I don't want a fucking Truly. They'll be like, we have cocktails, and I'm like, okay, I can vibe with a cocktail. Like, I like hard liquor.
I agree with that.
I like hard liquor and wine coolers, and that's it. Which, I mean, and it's only certain hards. Like, I don't know if I like gin. I don't think I've ever really tried gin.
I hate you would tequila. Like gin in a cocktail. I'm also
maybe.
Tequila doesn't
I hate
make
tequila.
Me feel good.
I hate it. I hate it straight. I hate it mixed. I hate tequila. Rum is okay.
I effing love. I don't know why I said effing. That was weird. I fucking love rum. That is my liquor of choice.
Remember when we were at Ben's?
Yes.
And we did, we played True American.
We did. It was so fun.
And though I, like, tapped out at one point for,
Hailey, you
half
tapped out,
an hour.
You tapped out more than half an hour. You tapped out very early. We were still playing in the dark.
Really?
Yes, yeah, you went to bed. Yeah. That was the first time I got drunk, Hailey.
No. I tapped out of the game.
Yes, you tapped out of everything early. I'm saying.
No, I tapped. Okay, listen. We were playing the game, and then I tapped out of the game, and then I kept answering the quotes from the porch.
Yes, you were sitting
because
on the
no
porch.
one would get them. So then at one point I said, can I just be back in? Because I've gotten all of these quotes, and you bitches haven't.
That's right.
And I think Nick was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So I came back into the game at, like, the last quarter, and I ended up winning.
That's true. You did. It was very impressive.
And I had to take a swig of Captain Morgan, and I almost vomited there.
It's so good, Hailey.
I almost threw up.
It is so good. Like, if I have to take a shot, that's what I choose. 100%. That or Crown Apple. Like, it's
Crown Peach.
I don't like peach.
When I was at, I think it was
like cat pee.
I like the peach. I like the peach a lot. When I was at a cast party last year during Hunchback, I was just walking around with it wasn't even mine. It wasn't mine. I was walking around with someone's Crown Peach and just sipping out of it.
I love
that. And then someone tried to take it from me, and I yelled at them.
Oh my gosh.
Again, it's not even mine. It was not mine. I don't remember whose it was.
This wasn't alcohol, but one time we were at David's friend's lake house over by Indian Creek, and so here's my issue. I have a very heavy tolerance. so I feel like I can drink a lot more, but then all of a sudden sometimes it just hits me and I am like so very drunk very, very quickly. So this is one of those instances where I was fine and then all of a sudden I was very much not fine. But I was eating a bag of popcorn and I was sitting on the floor just like hardly lucid and like just eating popcorn. And our friend Tony comes over and he tries to take my popcorn away from me. And I put up a fucking fight. And then the bag ripped and popcorn went everywhere. And I was sad. It was so funny. We have it on video somewhere. You had to be there.
I mean, the first time you ever got drunk around me.
I woke you up. It was that same night.
I woke up. I went to bed early because I had to work in the morning.
Yeah, you did.
And I woke up an hour after I went to bed to two people like wrestling on top of me. And I open my eyes, and Madison is actively trying to wake me up, and our friend Munir is trying to keep her from waking me up. And I was up for about 20 minutes then. I got to watch her and our friend Ben be just absolute sloppy bitches. And then I heard Madison... Ben went downstairs to his room.
He had to expel the demons.
Madison started walking downstairs. I heard her fall down the stairs.
I forgot about that.
I looked at Munir. Munir was sitting on the other couch, and I looked at him from, like, the chase or whatever I was laying on. And I looked at him, and I said, have fun. And I just went back to sleep. I said, I'm not doing it.
To be fair, though, I would have probably fallen down those steps if I were sober. So, like, how much can we judge that? Really?
I can judge it. But, yeah, did you have fun at the concert?
I had a blast at the concert. There was a big event that happened at the concert before the concert started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was probably my favorite part of the concert. And I'm so happy that everybody waited for me to be there for said event.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did, am I saying the things?
So I'm engaged.
I only got engaged at the Taylor Swift concert!
Yes.
It was the cutest thing ever. It was in the parking lot before we went in, and then everybody sang Love Story. It was very nice, and we got in a circle, and it was amazing, and all these Taylor Swift fans were just, it was the cutest thing ever.
It was really nice. My favorite part was walking into the venue because our friend Rachel was ahead of us, and every couple of feet, she would just shout. I didn't know. Listen. You think I remember everything that was going on? I was drunk and I just got engaged. Okay, Madison and Rachel. Sorry.
You better be.
Every few feet would just shout about how we just got engaged,
and then everybody would cheer and clap.
Yes, so it felt Hailey like we had won the Super Bowl. It was very exciting.
Giant, never-ending applause going into the Taylor Swift concert.
I love attention, so that was amazing.
And then we stood in the bathroom line for 45 minutes.
Oh my god!
The men's bathroom line.
Our friend Ryan and my now fiance Christian, they were standing outside, waiting for us to go to the bathroom. Someone came up to Christian and was like, "You're the one that just got engaged, right?"
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you.
That. Oh,
did I tell you about, this is just funny, did I tell you about Ryan and what Ryan did the night before?
No.
So we rented an Airbnb for the concert, and not everyone in our group stayed at the Airbnb the night before the show, but Christian and I and our friend Ryan did. And I don't know where I was somewhere. But Ryan was sitting there, and Christian looked at him and said, "I'm gonna propose to Hailey tomorrow." And Ryan went, "I get to be there? I get to be part of this?" And he was very excited, and I came downstairs at one point, and I went on about how I was gonna get so fucking trashed. And I was gonna get super drunk, and Ryan just goes, "Well, you can't get too drunk. You need to be able to remember things."
Oh, you told me about this. I remember.
And
that,
I was like,
you remember
"Of course I'm gonna remember the fucking concert, you dweeb. Are you kidding?"
You weeb.
But he was on another level. He was like yelling at Rachel at one point.
He was
Rachel went to grab a drink out of the cooler, and he walked back, and he was like, what are you doing back here? It's starting. It's going to happen. It's happening. It's happening right now. And
literally
Rachel was
right
like,
before, because they waited for me to get there because I was coming from an audition. And so I I hauled ass. And as soon as I got there, Ryan's like, we've been waiting for you. And I'm like, for what? Like, I'm sorry. I tried to come as fast as I could. And then he's like, big things are happening. I made it work.
Yeah, it all worked out. In the end, it all worked out. But yeah, now we're in the starting to try and plan the wedding, and I don't want to talk about that at all.
It's okay, because I have nominated myself as the wedding planner, in addition to being the maid of honor. Yes, that's right, everybody. I am a maid of honor. Be so thankful and happy for me. But I can help you, Guff Puff, and I'm so excited. I'm excited, even if you're not.
I was more excited before I realized how
expensive everything was.
Evil these people are. They are money-sucking whores, and I want to fight every single one of them.
The wedding business is a money-sucking whore, but
yeah, it sucks.
I can help make this a fantastic celebration.
I emailed someone asking about engagement photos, and they emailed me back, and they told me $900. Like, that's...
Yes, lovey.
Like that's
standard.
Like, that's not... No. I don't... No. But yeah, enough about me. What about you?
I am great. I just got back from giving blood. Here is a PSA to everybody. If you can, if you're able to, give blood. I love giving blood. I am O positive, so I very much feel a strong social responsibility to give blood whenever I can.
I don't know what my blood type is. How do you find that out?
Well, the way I found out was I gave blood, and then they
were like, you're O positive. Please
yes,
give more.
After they processed it, they're like, yes, we like your blood. We need your blood. Please give more. And I said, okay.
Let us just stab you right now, please.
I'm sorry?
What?
You said you're gonna stab me?
No.
Wait, why are you gonna stab me? I already got stabbed today. I almost passed out.
For your blood.
Stabbed. I also feel that, like, in a morbid way, I enjoy giving blood because I feel connected to, like...
I like giving blood because they'll have part of me forever.
I was literally just gonna say that. Like, I also love giving blood because I love the idea of giving a part of me to somebody else. That feels so personal.
I hate giving blood because I hate needles, and it makes me feel sick. Do you remember when I would try to give blood in high school, and I would, like, stand in line, like, almost in tears?
Yes.
I did it.
I remember.
I was very proud of myself. And
I was also very proud of you.
And then, like, the next year, I was like, oh, no, I can't go back to school and give blood. I got a tattoo.
Like, oh, rats.
Oh, sad. I'm sad.
But yeah, I'm great. I'm getting over bronchitis. Again. It was not great this time around. Okay, that's the thing I try to explain. Like, bronchitis does not equal sick, but sick will then lead to bronchitis for me. So, like, how this happened, everyone was like, oh, like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I feel fine. How this bronchitis bout started was I had a sore throat. I shit you not. I had a sore throat. And then 2 days later, my lungs gave out. Like, I did not have a cold. I did not have anything major. I had a sore throat and maybe a sniffle or two the day before I got bronchitis. And then I got bronchitis and my lungs just stopped working. And then it was just days of me hacking and then my throat or my lungs just like pounding against each other. So it was very annoying. But yeah, I felt fine. It's just, I just can't stop coughing. I was going to say I would never wish it on my worst enemy, but actually bio weapons that'd be pretty sick to have on my worst enemy. Like, if I could give them, I don't know, I don't have any enemies, obviously, but, like, you know, if I hated somebody enough, I would want them to suffer, with a little bronchitis.
Oh, see, my thing is, like, I never wish ill on people. Like, I don't want anything really, okay.
No.
I never want anything really bad to happen. Like, I don't hope that you, like that someone you love gets really sick.
Oh, no, that's awesome.
I don't hope that you get really sick. But do I hope that they never know, like, do I hope that they're always like, I hope you step in water while wearing socks?
Yes.
I hope
that's kind of how
more
bronchitis
inconveniences,
because it's inconvenient. Like if anything, like it can be painful, of course, but if anything, it's just inconvenient. It's just really annoying. So like,
do I hope that you contract laryngitis like right before a big presentation you have to give? Yeah, I do a little bit. Do I hope a flower pot falls on your head?
A flower pod?
Pot.
Oh.
Flower pot.
Oh, I see.
Maybe.
Depending on how big it is.
Yeah, depending on, like, how dangerous, like, how bad it is. But, yeah, like, I never... I've said before, like, I don't wish ill, like, severely on people. But there are people in this world that I hope they're just a tiny bit miserable for the rest of their lives. Just a tiny bit.
I'm
a good person.
You are a good person. No. I'm not saying that's bad or anything. In fact, I'm going to say something worse because, like, I feel like bronchitis is now worse than that. Those things are just, like, inconvenient. Bronchitis is, like, an actual... I mean, it's inconvenient for sure, but, like, it's a heavy thing. I don't know.
I feel like... I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had bronchitis, so I can't speak to how bad it is.
You would know if you had bronchitis, and then... nearly every time you get sick, you will then get bronchitis in some form. So like for me, again, it varies. Sometimes I get bronchitis and it's not so bad. I just cough a lot. But then like this last time, like I completely lost my voice. Like I was coughing so bad, my voice felt like it was bruised.
Yeah.
So like it just depends.
Yeah. I'd wish bronchitis on someone.
See, that's the thing. At the most, it's inconvenient. Sorry, that's not true. At the worst, it's painful, and you spit up a lot of mucus. But if it's just
how painful on a scale of 1 to 10?
Whenever I had COVID, it was really bad. Like I was sobbing every morning because I was.
But see, I don't wish COVID on anyone though.
No, I wouldn't do that.
So, like, I wish, like, what is your normal, like, forgetting about the COVID, what's your normal, like, pain level?
Normal pain.
What's the highest it goes?
Normal pain is, like, a sore throat, and then it's just annoying, really.
Like a scale of 1 to 10.
I would say 10 being, like, excruciating. I'm really bad at scale of 1 to 10. My therapist asks me those things, and I'm like, I literally don't know. It changes by the day. I don't know these arbitrary numbers. So I would say a 5, but even then, I don't know if that's accurate.
I mean, to you.
To me.
Like,
see, that's the thing. I have a high pain tolerance. Like, I felt an 8 with the COVID. I would say, you know what? It would probably be a 4 then. A 4.
Okay. Yeah. I'd wish bronchitis on someone. I'd say anything like 5 and lower, I'd probably wish on somebody.
Yeah.
No, it depends. Because, okay, I mean, there are like...
I miss talking to you.
Like... There are cancers that are easily treatable.
Yes.
Or that are more treatable than others. I would never wish any type of cancer on anyone ever. So I take that back. Just because it's at a 5 or lower doesn't mean I'd wish it on somebody. It depends on what it is.
What if it's like a 5 or lower, like inconvenience scale? That seems like
inconvenience scale. Yeah,
that's like not pain. I would say inconvenience.
I don't want anyone. I feel like I keep backpedaling. I don't want anyone to be in pain, like physically, ever.
I want you to always hit every bus stop. I want you to get stuck behind a garbage truck.
Red lights, baby.
All the time.
Red lights all the time.
Bus.
Especially when you need to be somewhere now.
Exactly.
Those types of things. The inconvenient things that you're like, motherfucker, I'm going to lose my shit. I hope you feel that. I hope you feel that at least once a day. I hope that's how you feel.
To clarify once again, I don't know who I'm talking to because I really don't dislike anybody this much. But
Hailey does. Hailey knows exactly who she's talking to.
Hailey does. But okay, I guess that's true. Hailey does. Anyway.
We're at like 32 minutes.
I know. It's gonna I'm gonna cut this down, don't worry.
Okay.
I just miss talking to you.
I miss talking. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
So, earlier this week, I came across a TikTok video about these little things called timeout dolls.
What the fuck is a timeout doll?
You're gonna see, because I have a picture.
Oh my, okay. Oh, I see it. What the fuck is this?
Exactly.
What the fuck? Ew, I don't like that at all.
No one ever does. So these timeout dolls, I guess, are really big at, like, car shows.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I don't know. Car shows, local flea markets. They're usually, like, propped up against, like, the bumper of a car or the front seat or the steering wheel.
Why?
And sometimes, even better, they have signs on them that say things like, "Mommy and Daddy don't like me, please take me home."
What
or
the fuck?
Something fucked up. I don't... Apparently, like, some people say it's to bring, like, a sense of nostalgia.
What's nostalgic about child abuse? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know.
That's what that is.
Like,
That's
nobody...
not good.
I cannot
Mommy and Daddy don't want me?
I cannot find a reason as to why they exist. There is no, like, consensus as to why these timeout dolls are a thing. Some people think they represent the sadness of a child realizing his inheritance has been spent on his father's Chevrolet.
What the fuck?
Some people say it represents all the children who hate car shows. Some of them say they are to cover paint scratches and bumps on the cars.
Why car shows?
I don't know.
I'm honestly flabbergasted. I don't know what to say. This is not what I thought this was going to be.
Yeah, no. So I saw these timeout dolls. And you would think that there would be a lot more things out there about them being, like, fucking haunted, because of course they would be. Like, they're creepy as hell. I'm sure you'll include the picture.
Oh, of course I will.
They're terrifying.
I feel like I've seen something like this before. I'm not even shitting you. I think my
some people say that they've been used, like, in
this.
homes to show people, like, to show kids, like, if you get in timeout, this is where you go stand. I don't know. I don't know why they exist. I can't find an exact reason.
I'm upset.
But yeah, like, the like, literally you go to Google and it says, what are the dolls for car shows? Timeout dolls. Like, they're just...
Seriously?
Yeah, they are,
what
like,
the hell?
about, as I so often do, about just generally, like, haunted dolls.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of them. Hope to never have one. But
So
I just
your wedding
thought...
present. I'm going to go shopping on eBay.
Please don't. Please don't.
I would
no,
never.
okay.
I would never do that.
Side story. I have this weird thing with the paranormal and with ghosts.
I know.
Where I will get it into my head. No, you don't. I don't think I've told you this before. I don't know if I've told... I don't know why I haven't told many people this, because it's not that weird, I guess. But, like, especially when I was younger, I would get it into my head that if I saw something... Like, I would watch a haunting a lot. I would watch celebrity ghost stories a lot.
Yeah.
I got it into my head multiple times on multiple different occasions that the ghosts that these episodes were about, they were coming for me.
Oh my gosh,
They knew I watched the show.
That's
and
dark.
They said, we gotta go get her. I was terrified. I would lay awake in bed and I still do it. To this day. There are times where I will lay in my bed and I will be like, I just watched the creepiest TikToks. Something's coming for me. Something's coming tonight. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it happens, but there was one time I went on eBay and was reading about I was looking up haunted dolls on eBay, and I found one, and the story was so stupid. It was like this doll literally crawled from the depths of hell, and she's evil, and blah, blah, blah. Scared the shit out of me. I was like, this doll knows I read this eBay listing, and it's gonna come get me tonight. That's just one of, like, the more, like, crazy things about me.
I love you so much, Hailey.
I'm nuts.
Listen, I am still afraid of the dark. Like, I get spooked after watching a scary movie, but I don't have that like, it's coming for me. My mind.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just, like, my self-absorbed nature to think that, like, oh, it's coming to get me.
It's coming to get me.
Oh, it's coming after me. It would never attack anyone. It's leaving its home in Baltimore, Maryland to come chase me down.
You know what? That's what it is. That is exactly what it is.
Like, I know logically it makes absolutely no sense, and I'm okay with that. It got me thinking about just different haunted dolls that I hold near and dear to my heart. I've known about most of these for a very long time, and I will be sharing pictures as well. I'm gonna save the best for last. So this first one is called, God, I'm gonna butcher this, Okiku.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that one. Is it with the hair?
Yes.
Yes! I love this one.
According to the story, Okiku was purchased by a young man sometime around 1918 in Japan as a gift for his younger sister, and after a year, the little girl that the doll was bought for passed away. The family created like a big shrine in her memory and placed the doll in the shrine, and then at some point later on, they noticed that the doll's hair was growing. When the family moved in 1938, they entrusted the doll to the care of Meneji Temple. Meninji. Okay. When the family moved in 1938, they entrusted the doll to the care of the Meninji Temple in Hokkaido, where caretakers continue to maintain Okiku and her hair that still supposedly grows today. So that's Okiku. So she's a very pretty doll.
She is very pretty.
My mom used to have dolls that looked like her.
I saw an up close picture. I don't know, man.
You don't like it?
Wait, I'll show you this one that I found. Hold on.
Oh God, I'm a little nervous now that it's gonna creep me out. What did I just say? I get nervous.
You have to see this though.
I don't wanna.
You have to.
What if it scares me? Ugh. That's the face of evil.
Yeah.
Anyway, this next one is named Lily. She now resides at... Yeah, I know, right? She now resides at Zach Bagans, the of Ghost Adventures fame.
Yes.
You know, his haunted museum. She was made during the 1800s in Germany and features real human hair.
She looks like she was made to be haunted. Like that was her sole intent.
Yeah. Not only does the fact that it's at the Zach Bagans Museum of Haunted Artifacts make me like have a little bit like to it, no child would want this doll.
No
child would want this doll. No, I'm sorry.
No kid is gonna look at that and say, "That's what I want." No.
Yeah, nobody. No
one's buying that.
But supposedly she was discovered by an antiques dealer who took her home. Who's that? Who's Sam and Brick?
It's Jared! I totally forgot.
Oh, Jared. Jared, I miss you. Okay, anyway.
That was so funny.
According to the museum's Facebook post, she was discovered by an antiques dealer who took her home, but began having recurring nightmares about a little girl who had a very bad accident. She was put up for sale at the antique shop, and on one occasion, a customer's little girl spoke to the doll for 3 hours and told the seller that Lily was a little girl that had been subjected to extreme violence.
Fuck. Also, what kind of accident?
I don't know. Doesn't say.
Okay.
Yeah, again, you guys will see.
She looks like she had an accident.
No small child would want that doll.
No.
Moving on, next up we have Ruby. She's a pretty popular one, I think. I hadn't heard of Lily before I started doing like this research. I had heard of Ruby.
I've heard of Lily before.
Ruby is a porcelain doll who likes to move around.
No.
She currently resides with the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and the Occult. And she comes from, like, her origins are pretty mysterious. The previous owner said she originally belonged to a little girl in the family who died while holding the toy. And following that, she was passed down through generations until coming to her current residence at the museum. Visitors often report that there is an overwhelming feeling of sorrow radiating from Ruby.
Oh, that's so sad.
Next, we've got Letta. This one is the creepiest, for sure.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Absolutely not. That is literally from my nightmares.
Yeah.
No. You know who that looks like? Mm. Have you seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Shut up. No. Yes.
He looks like the child catcher.
The child catcher used to scare the shit out of me.
Me too.
I also thought the child catcher was a woman when I was younger.
I did too.
Beautiful. There we go.
He's wearing a lot of makeup and he has very long hair.
Honestly, slay.
Yeah.
Child catcher slays. Letta, short for Letta Me Out.
Oh, shit.
And Letta is a 200-year-old wooden doll with human hair.
Fuck
He
that.
was discovered beneath a house in Wagga Wagga, Australia by his current caretaker, Carrie Walton. Walton told the Warwick Daily News, "I reckon he walks in the nighttime. We came in here as a new house, and I've never heard so many strange things in my life."
What the fuck?
Carrie has found scuff marks on the floor of his home, and objects mysteriously shift. Walton has brought Letta with him to multiple television interviews and has even started an Instagram page dedicated to the doll.
I don't like that.
It's just at Letta Me Out on Instagram if you would like to follow. Oh my god, these pictures are so much better and so much worse all at once.
At Letta Me Out?
Yeah. At Letta Me Out on Instagram. Go ahead. Give Letta.
Am I gonna...
It's what he deserves.
Oh no.
That one.
Oh no, I don't want that. Oh, I don't.
Man.
There's one of him next to a child. Get that child away.
Look at his little shoes.
I don't want to look at his little shoes.
What a dapper gentleman.
He's
Honestly,
not dapper.
I think he's styling. His little green
his
suit.
wrist is broken. Look at this.
Listen, he's been through a lot.
Apparently. 200 fucking years old.
Yeah, with real human hair.
It's so
and then finally, of course, the bad bitch herself, we've got Annabelle.
Yes, Annabelle.
If you haven't heard of Annabelle, you're probably living under a rock. I find it hard to believe that, like, anybody could be into the paranormal and not have heard of Annabelle. Her story is a lot different from what it is in the movie.
Yes.
Obviously. The real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll that was given to a nursing student named Donna by her mother. Donna and her roommate Angie often returned home to discover that the doll had changed positions or moved rooms. They'd also find handwritten notes scrawled onto like parchment paper asking for help. They contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren when Annabelle became like violent and attacked one of their friends.
Jeez.
And Ed and Lorraine ultimately took Annabelle into their care. She just kind of sits in this case now. But there are stories of her, like, there's a story of someone going to the occult museum. And I gotta say, I'm so bummed because the occult museum is, like, the Ed and Lorraine Warren occult museum is no longer in, like, it no longer is open. And I'm so bummed. I always wanted to go. But it's fine. I'll live.
Fine.
But supposedly there was a man that went and like got in the doll's face and was like, "You're just a doll, you're not gonna do shit, like what are you gonna do?" And he got like, they told him to leave, and he got on his motorcycle and he left, and then he and his girlfriend got into a motorcycle accident where he died, but the girlfriend survived. And motorcycles are dangerous, but I don't know, is it a coincidence that he was messing around with Annabelle and then died? I don't know. I don't even know if that's a real story. I didn't make it up, but someone might have.
I didn't make it up. I have heard that one before.
Yeah. But Annabelle is still... Apparently in 2020, rumors began to circulate that Annabelle escaped. Which I think is really funny.
Why would you do that? In 2020, why would you try to unleash any more havoc into that world?
Listen... I don't fuck with Annabelle. I don't honestly, I don't fuck with any of these dolls.
No.
I don't. Yeah, I just don't. I'm good. Oh, there's also, I don't have a picture of it, but there's also an island in Mexico.
Yes!
That is just full of dolls. And the whole island is supposedly haunted. And listen. I don't know how people feel about these types of shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, whatever. The craziest shit I ever saw was on Destination Truth on the episode where they visited this island in Mexico. It's like they are looking at this doll. The camera is on this doll, and the doll's eyes, for seemingly no reason, it's like an old ass baby doll. they just open, or it blinks or something. It's crazy.
I would love to do a deep dive on the Island of Dolls, because I feel like they had like a super like dark backstory. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't. It did. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
maybe we'll
cool.
cover it in more depth another time.
Yeah.
It is on the list of reasons I won't travel to Mexico. It always has been, always will be.
I didn't know that was like a place you wouldn't go to.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, I won't go to Roanoke in Virginia.
Yeah, there's too much that goes on down there that I don't vibe with. La Llorona is also on that list. I don't. I love her. I love her so much. Never want to see her in my life. Never want to see her, never want to hear her. I'm good. I will stay.
For those who don't know, would you like to explain what that is?
Yeah, I feel like you guys are getting so many stories out of me. Wow, welcome back, Hailey. Oh my gosh. For those of you who don't know, again, I feel like La Llorona is very popular.
We could do like a deep dive again another time, but like...
Yeah, so just the quickest backstory. She is called... La Llorona stands for the Weeping Woman in Spanish. Stands for, means... Ugh. Anyway, and she is the spirit of a woman who supposedly drowned her children in a long time ago, and now she is doomed to wander the earth searching for the souls of her lost children, and she is kind of a boogeyman to kids in Mexico and in even places in the United States like Texas and the more southern areas of California. She is supposed to keep children from wandering at night or getting too close to rivers, that kind of thing. But there are so many, and this is like one of those things where I think about like fairies and stuff like that. Like there are so many different accounts of her or something like her in so many different areas. Like there just has to, and it goes back to like this belief that I have of like, if you give something a name and you give it a story and you talk about it enough and you believe in it enough and you create enough people that believe in it, maybe something will manifest.
Energy is powerful.
Yeah, that's how I feel about her. There are just so many stories of sightings and experiences, and I just would rather not. So I'm good. Like, I love her. I love her story. I love her. I think she's sick as hell. I think she's super fucking cool. I love her story.
You love that she drowned her children.
Shut up. That's not what I mean. It does sound like what I mean, but that's not.
Kinda.
I love a tragic backstory. I love sad.
I
don't mean, like, it's not great that she drowned her kids, but I like substance, you know? Like, there are some of these bitches walking around with nothing. Like, it's like, oh, she just exists. It's boring. At least she's got something going.
That's true.
But yeah, I never ever want to even risk seeing her. Like, there are places in Mexico I go, like Cancun or like,
I was gonna say
something like that.
My company goes to Cancun again.
I don't know.
Okay, so you didn't find anything about these timeout dolls being haunted?
Not necessarily. Like, there are a lot of articles that were like, oh, these things are fucking creepy, and it's like, you're right, they are. Creepy. You should say it. Like, it's
you know
true.
what? Okay, my great-grandparents definitely had something like this in their house, but my grandparents have an Amish figurine that looks like this. I shit you not. And it doesn't have a face, because the Amish figurines don't have faces.
Ew.
Because they don't have mirrors. It's like a vanity thing.
Oh, right. That always makes me think of, like, there was a Tumblr post so long ago, and I quote it all the time, and it's like, Papa forbade mirrors lest we fall victim to vanity. And I always say it with a weird accent. And I don't know. I do it all the time.
One more time. How does that go?
Oh, are you recording me?
I mean, it is currently recording.
I mean, yeah.
It's recording.
Papa forbade mirrors lest we fall victim to vanity.
What the fuck?
It's so funny. It's so, like, there's more to it. It's like, hey, baby girl, do you know how beautiful you look? Or some shit like that. Like some...
What the fuck?
Something like that. And then that's the response is like, no, Papa didn't let us have mirrors. And I think it might be the use of Papa and forbade. I think it's the use of like old, like Papa forbade. I don't know why. It tickles something in my little brain.
Well, that's not at all where I thought that this was going to go today.
Honestly, I talked longer than I thought I would. I apologize. I thought it was going to be much shorter.
I'm here for it. I'll make this very quick, but I have to tell you this story of the timeout doll from kindergarten. Okay. So literally I was just thinking about this yesterday. I used to be not nice in kindergarten and preschool. You know how like the people who peak in high school, like how they must feel like so high and mighty and so powerful?
Oh yeah. I
imagine that's how I felt in kindergarten and preschool. I was very much like a queen bee. I ran that class. Even my teachers were in on it. And what I mean by that is, so, okay, first of all, an example of like how I was mean, like legitimately, I was not nice. It's a good thing I switched schools and humbled myself because I would have been a bitch otherwise. There was this girl in my class. She came halfway through the school year and her name was Paige. And my sister's name is also Paige. And I was very much of the mindset that there could only be one. So,
oh my God.
For this little girl who was new to our class, did not know anybody, it's kindergarten, I pretended that she didn't exist. She would talk and I would be like, well, did I hear something?
Oh my God.
Was that the wind? And legitimately, I would pretend that I was not kind. I was really mean.
Everyone point and boo.
Yes. It gets worse. Don't worry.
Oh my God.
I had a crush on this boy. He was my boyfriend. I deemed him that even if he didn't want to be my boyfriend.
Oh my God.
And so my mom got me this Build-A-Bear whenever I was little, and you'd press on the paw and it would sing a song. Well, I'd bring it to school, and whenever the teacher deemed the boys as misbehaving, she would put them in a high chair. Again, age inappropriate because they were too old for high chairs, too big for the high chair. This is to shame them publicly in front of all of us. The teacher would put them in a high chair and give them my doll as a timeout doll, and they'd play that on repeat to taunt them. I shit you not. So I was not a nice kid, but my teacher was in on it. I was 5 years old, and that is so fucked.
That's fucked up.
Isn't that fucked?
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny when I was little. I'm like, that is so fucked. She put him in a high chair for babies and gave him my doll to taunt him as a timeout doll. And she bragged about it to the parents whenever we graduated. She was so proud of the bond that we made, bullying these kids.
Your parents, she said this to? Or
all of the parents in the class. Talking back on the memories that we had made.
They
laughed. She made it seem like it was so innocent. She's like, yeah, we would tease the boys with the high chair and Madison's doll that she would bring in, and they would laugh. They'd be like, ha 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 ha. But it was so fucked. It was really bad. It was not good. Yeah, so there's that. I'm a very healthy, well-adjusted person right now. It's fine. I've been dealing with a lot of trauma that's been regurgitating. Anyway, I promise I'm a nice person now. I was 5 years old. Should I cut that?
Maybe.
I'm uncomfortable.
What's important is that you've changed and grown as a person. But
I was 5, literally in kindergarten.
Why were you so mean at 5? Who hurt you at 5?
Everyone hurt me, Hailey. I went through a lot at 5 years old. Okay. I was very hurt and damaged as a child.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I am a nice person. I promise.
Yeah. You are now.
Yeah. I was 5.
Did I say anything?
I feel really bad. I feel super shitty, but I don't know. Okay. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Well, there was that. Are you interested in hearing my story for today?
No.
Okay. So I, much like all of the stories that I do, I wanted to cover this since the very beginning, but this one has like stuck with me and has been so poignant, and I don't have anything else to say. Anyway, I'll just get into it. This is the story of Mary Vincent. So Mary Vincent was one of 7 children. Her father worked as a mechanic and met his future wife, who was a blackjack dealer, while he was serving time in the military. From a very young age, Mary had dreams of becoming a dancer and traveling the world as a performer. Her dance instructor even had plans to help her dancing career if she was serious about pursuing it. She had a couple gigs lined up for her and like made some connections for her. At the age of 15, she started to rebel a little due to tensions at home. She would skip school on occasion and even spent the summer of 1978 living in her boyfriend's car until he was arrested and they parted ways. Unfortunately, this was all due to her parents. They were fighting a lot. They went through a very messy divorce, and as they were going through their divorce, Mary couldn't deal with it anymore. She couldn't deal with all the fighting in the household, so she ran away from home to stay with her grandfather in Corona, California, while things cooled down. And this was in September of that year, 1978. I also want to say this is the 70s. Obviously, hitchhiking was much more common in these days, and it was expected as a mode of transportation, especially for the younger generation. And this was a 400-mile hike. This was her longest trek, but she had never had any issues before with hitchhiking, so she was like, this is fine. So after some time with her grandfather, she was getting a little homesick, and she wanted to hitch her way back home to Las Vegas. So Mary packed her belongings that she had brought with her in a knapsack and set off. And again, hitchhiking is pretty much extinct now, but for those who don't realize it, it's not like the person takes you the entire way home. They'll take you as far as they can or as far as they're heading and then drop you off, and then you repeat it. You repeat the process until you get close enough to where you're trying to get. But Mary was very young, she was very pretty, and she just had a very easy time in general getting rides to wherever she needed to go. So again, not a super big deal. Eventually, as she traveled, she met up with a pair of fellow hitchhikers in Modesto, California, and they were all standing by a busy intersection, thumbs out, signs out, trying to wait for someone to take them up on their offer to go to Southern California. And after a little while, a middle-aged man in a blue van drove up next to them, and he looked the trio over and motioned for Mary to get in, saying he only had room for one and he could take her as far as Los Angeles, which was only 45 minutes away from her home. Strangely, the man said he was heading to Reno, which is in the very complete opposite direction of LA. So if you think of Southern California, Reno is middle California. I think I looked it up. It's an 8-hour drive, not including traffic. So it is in the very opposite direction. That's not how hitchhiking works. So this was the very first red flag. The pair of hitchhikers cautioned Mary to just wait for another ride since they could see there was plenty of room in the van for them all to fit. But he only said one would fit, so that something just didn't feel right. And he just insisted he could only take one person and that it had to be a woman because he was, quote, afraid of getting mugged. Mary also sensed that something was off too, but she was hot. She was exhausted. This has been days of her now baking in the hot sun trying to get rides home. So she was just ready to go home. If someone's offering to take her home, she wanted to go. So she just kind of brushed off these concerns, said goodbye to them, and climbed into the passenger side of the van. So the man who picked her up was 50-year-old Lawrence Singleton. Not much is known about his early life except that he was born in Tampa, Florida in 1927, and he worked as a merchant mariner. And it was reported that he was a heavy drinker. He had 2 failed marriages, and at this time of picking up Mary, he had an estranged teenage daughter who was around Mary's age at this point. He was also said to have been extremely misogynistic and had a deep hatred of women. And all this has kind of piled up to a boiling point this day. So once in the van, Mary felt that despite being a little rough around the edges, Lawrence, he seemed nice enough. He was just like a friendly older man. He looked like a grandpa. He had a kind smile. He told her that he had a daughter around her age, and she thought that this was kind of like proof of his family man demeanor. But pretty soon after they took off, she started to feel a little bit uneasy again, that maybe she had made a mistake. And this is where some more red flags come up. He made a pass at her. So, for example, Mary sneezed, and what do you say whenever someone sneezes?
Bless you.
Okay, not Lawrence. He said, "Let me see if you're sick," and he put his hand on her neck to check her temperature.
Weird.
She pulled away and was like, "No," and settled against the door to rest and keep her distance from Lawrence. Soon she fell asleep after a few long days of Soon after this, she fell asleep. Again, she was exhausted from her days of travel. She just couldn't keep her eyes open. She knew it wasn't the smartest decision, but she just couldn't stay awake. So at one point, she started to wake up, and as soon as her eyes began to focus, she realized that it didn't look right. She realized that they were heading in the wrong direction. They were not going south, like he said. They were going east and north. Very quickly realizing that this was wrong and thinking on her feet, Mary found a sharp stick in the car and threatened Lawrence with it. She pointed it at him and demanded he turn the van around and take her to where she was headed. Lawrence calmly apologized and said he made a stupid mistake. He said his eyesight was bad and he must have just gotten turned around in the dark. To her surprise, he did immediately correct course, and Mary thought, maybe it was an honest mistake. But after a few more miles, the man said he needed to pull over and use the restroom. So as he was relieving himself, he suggested that Mary also step out of the car and stretch her legs since they'd been in the car for a little bit now. And again, thinking quickly, alarm bells started going off in Mary's head, and she realized that the place he had pulled over was a very deserted part of the highway, very much in the middle of nowhere, and that essentially she was trapped. And her gut was once again telling her that something was wrong. So Mary was quickly thinking over an escape plan. She looked Lawrence over. He was short, he was chubby, he was in his mid-50s. He clearly did not look like he took good care of his health, as she could smell the liquor on him as he was driving. But she thought that she could just easily outrun him if she needed to. So as she got out of the van, she realized her shoes were untied. And immediately she thought, smartly, she was afraid of tripping while trying to outrun him, so she bent over to tie her shoes and then planned to take off. The second she bent over to tie her shoes, she was struck in the back with a sledgehammer, and then again in the head, the second blow being the one that knocked her out. It gets kind of rough here. I apologize. As she gained consciousness, she realized that she was naked and tied up in the back of his van. Lawrence would assault her, hop back into the driver's seat, still naked, drive for a little bit, pull over, and assault her again. Mary was raped repeatedly throughout the night and into the morning, and at one point throughout the attacks, Lawrence forced her to drink liquor, and between the liquor, the pain, and the terror, Mary passed out in the van. Mary begged and pleaded with him to just let her go. She said that she wouldn't tell anyone, she just wanted to go home, but he ignored her. She said, quote, "Just set me free. Please just set me free." She was begging. At this point, it was morning, and Lawrence pulled her out of the van. She was still naked and tied up, and now she was bleeding from being assaulted. He reached into his toolbox and pulled out a hatchet, and he said, "You want to be free? I'll set you free." And then he swung. He struck her left arm, first with the hatchet, just below the elbow. He swung to strike her left arm again, and she could feel herself falling backwards. And when we fall, our reflex action is to grab onto something to avoid falling, usually out in front of us, but really just whatever is around us. So as she was falling, she reached out to grab his right arm tightly as he swung. She said it seemed to happen in slow motion. She was confused. She felt his arm, she knew that she had a hold of his arm, but she was still falling backwards. When she hit the ground, she saw blood gushing out of her left arm, having been severed off at her elbow. She screamed both in agony and to call for help. She kicked him furiously with all she had, but in just 3 more swings, he took off her other arm, her right arm. When she looked up at Lawrence, she saw him trying to shake her arm off of him that was still tightly clutching at his arm. So again, her arms are now severed from her body, but her arm is still tightly grabbing him as he's attacking her. She said, quote, "I felt all the pain, the sharpness, the burning. As the blood was leaking out of my body, I felt the hot ooze just flowing out of me. I felt everything. I was aware of everything." At this point, Mary was still conscious, but limp. Lawrence didn't know that. He thought that she was dead. So he dragged her body across the dirt and threw her off a 9-meter cliff into a concrete culvert. At this point, she had lost half of her blood, and whatever was left was becoming toxic very quickly. The fall into the concrete culvert broke 4 of her ribs, and at this point, Mary absolutely should have died. She could feel herself slipping into unconsciousness. She was in excruciating pain, and all she could think was, what if he hasn't left? What if he comes back to finish the job? But she said that she heard a voice in her body, mind, and soul tell herself, I can't go to sleep. He's going to do this to somebody else, and I can't let that happen. So with whatever energy she could muster, Mary got herself up, still naked, covered in blood, no arms, still losing blood from her arms. She thought again quickly. She saw a nearby ravine by the culvert, and she shoved both of her elbows, all that was left, into the mud to stop the bleeding. So the mud was caked in there to stop the bleeding, and then as it dried, it would form like a cast around her arms. Jeez. She crawled the entire way up the hill, again, trying not to let the pain stop her. And again, this was 9 meters. By the time she reached the top, it was nighttime again. It had taken her that long to climb up the 30 feet to the roadside. She started walking on the main road, looking for people to help her. For 3 miles, she walked down the road to find help. A feat which, again, took her till morning now, again, the next day, because she couldn't move very quickly. All the time she walked, she kept her arms up in the air to stop more blood loss and to stop the muscles from falling out. The first car she saw was a red convertible with the top down. There were 2 men inside. She screamed at them for help, but as soon as they saw her, they sped off and didn't look back. And she was devastated by this, but she said that she didn't blame them because she looked like something out of a horror movie. She was naked. She had no hands. She was covered in blood from head to toe. A short time later, an old truck showed up. It was a couple who were lost on their honeymoon, and they saw her and immediately stopped. They helped Mary inside their car, and they drove to the nearest phone booth to call the paramedics. They stayed with her until a helicopter was sent to airlift her straight to the hospital, and once there, doctors were again baffled at how she was alive due to the amount of blood that she lost. Again, over half was gone at this point, and she was starting to become septic with whatever was left. Detectives were quickly able to spot the trail of blood from where she had come from, and again, they also were amazed, saying that they didn't know how she was able to crawl up the hill in the condition that she was in. And I can't even imagine the pain. I absolutely cannot imagine that. Mary was able to give an incredibly detailed description to the police, and it was actually so detailed, in fact, the composite sketch was immediately recognized by Lawrence's neighbor. I mean, how often do you see composite sketches and think that looks absolutely nothing like the perpetrator? This was so detailed, it immediately gets recognized by his neighbor. They found her cigarettes and her clothes at his house, and his van was also thoroughly cleaned by the time that they reached him. Lawrence was brought in, and he had the nerve to immediately deny everything. And in fact, He said that if his DNA was on her, it was because she was a prostitute and he paid her $10 for it. He said that she was the one threatening him to take her where she wanted to go. And he also mentioned some bullshit story about there being 2 other hitchhikers, and they must have been the ones that tortured Mary and cut off her arms. Not seeing through any of this bullshit, Lawrence was arrested. Mary remained in the hospital for 1 month, and she was fitted with prosthetic arms. She said that it was very, very difficult for her to accept life with prosthetics and adapt to them. And just 6 months later, after the attack, she appeared in court to testify against Lawrence, her attacker. In March of 1979, a San Diego jury convicted Lawrence Singleton of kidnapping, mayhem, which is mutilation, attempted murder, forcible rape, sodomy, and forced oral copulation. And Mary said, quote, "When he was done testifying and I was leaving the courthouse, I had to pass him just inches away. And I heard him say, 'If it's the last thing I do, I will finish the job.'" And Lawrence admitted as much when he was confronted with that. Despite his crimes, do you want to just take a guess at how much time he was given?
I don't want to, because it's just going to piss me off.
Yep, it is. Despite his crimes, he was only given a 14-year sentence, which was the maximum available in California at the time. And then despite this, he only served 8 years for, quote, "good behavior." The judge presiding over the court remarked, "If I had the power, I would send him to prison for the rest of his natural life." But 14 was the maximum at that time. Mary also won a civil suit for $2.56 million, but of course she never received payment because Lawrence was unemployed and only had $200 to his name.
So, too bad.
At the end of the day, Lawrence sees himself as the victim, not Mary. And the public outcry over this sentencing was insane. And this actually, not that this is any good, but if anything good had to happen out of this, it's this. It was led to the passing of the Singleton Bill, which ceases the early release of criminals who torture in their crime and allowed for a 25 to life sentencing as well. So upon being paroled after just 8 years, Lawrence was run out of just about every town he tried to stay in. Over and over, he was run out and forced into protection by the police, essentially. Anytime he tried to live in a trailer, he would be harassed by his neighbors. At one point, I think law enforcement basically had to send him not back to prison, but like on prison grounds, living in his trailer because it was not safe for him anywhere. He continued to plead his innocence, and he went as far as to file a complaint against Mary, his victim, charging her with forcible kidnap for the purposes of robbery. To this day, he's dead now, but throughout his life, the rest of his life, he continuously claimed that he was the victim. He said that he couldn't possibly be guilty of such a heinous crime. He said he felt revulsion when he considered the notion that he might have attacked the girl in an alcoholic haze, and claims to have been cowed by Mary's threat to accuse him of rape. He said, "I was so afraid of the rape charge. I wondered, did this trigger violence in me?" It wouldn't be a normal human being, Lawrence said, if I didn't work myself into a rage when I think of how I was treated in the courts and also in the media. I have spent 10 years of my life in prison, each day being taunted and threatened. His bitterness, he says, is not towards Mary. He says, "I have compassion for the girl. I have compassion for her family." Indeed, Singleton said he found it difficult to file his complaints against her. He said, "I almost vomited 3 times and I couldn't sleep for several nights." But he says that he did so because it was the only way to clear his name. Disgusting. I don't even know what to say about that. It doesn't get better for a little bit. So he found himself back in more trouble in Florida, where he eventually did go back where he was from. He was convicted of theft twice, nothing crazy. But on February 19th, 1997, in Tampa, Florida, a local house painter had noticed a horrific scene unfolding inside a nearby residence. He quickly called the police and described to them the disturbing details. A nude man, covered in blood, was repeatedly stabbing a nude woman who laid motionless on the sofa. This painter would claim to the 911 operator that he could hear the bones being crunched after each stab. And the nude man who continued on with the stabbing frenzy was none other than Larry Singleton. His victim was a 31-year-old named Roxanne Hayes. She was a mother of 3, doing what she could to support her family. She had agreed to meet with Larry for $20, and Larry would go on to claim that she tried to take more than agreed upon from his wallet, and so a struggle ensued. Naturally, he had to stab her multiple times when the struggle ensued. Mary flew down to Florida to testify on behalf of Roxanne, saying, "He destroyed everything about me, my way of thinking, my way of life, holding on to innocence, and I'm still doing everything I can to hold on." Mary also said, "I'd have been the lead dancer at the Lido de Paris in Las Vegas, then Hawaii and Australia. I'm serious. I was really good on my feet, and my dance instructor had it all worked out. But then this happened. They had to take some parts out of my leg just to save my right arm, and after that, I wasn't able to dance anymore." This is 10 years later, and even 10 years later, Mary would say that it would often take her an hour or two just to get ready in the morning because she just couldn't stop crying. Lawrence was sentenced to death for this, but he died of cancer in prison in 2001, so he didn't spend much time in prison. Mary later recalled how she wanted more than that. She wanted answers as to why he had such evil inside of him, but she saw the relief in her son's faces when they heard the news, and this was enough relief for her then. Once she saw how much more at peace they were, she was able to put some of that aside and have some peace herself. So Mary underwent years of physical therapy and intensive psychotherapy to help her cope. In 1998, this is a year after Roxanne's death, she testified in front of Congress to help pass the, quote, "No Second Chances for Murderers, Rapists, or Child Molesters Act." And so I did some research on this bill, and it is about accountability. Under the No Second Chances bill, sanctions will be triggered when convicted murderers, rapists, or child molesters are released from prison and then proceed to commit these crimes in a different state. There are no new funds required for this bill. It merely redistributes existing federal funds in select cases to the most deserving states and victims. And this is how it works. So, for example, if a convicted murderer, rapist, or child molester was released from prison in Washington and then was later convicted in Texas for one of those same crimes, a portion of Washington's federal crime funds would be transferred to Texas to kind of help pay for their mistake in letting that person out. In other words, it's just to help the victims if there is a repeat predator, to assist the victim state with the costs of the legal system and for justice, essentially. Whatever justice you would be able to get in that kind of situation. In addition, $100,000 would go to the victim of the new crime or the victim's heirs in murder cases. Unfortunately, this bill died in Congress because it's Congress. I think this would have been a fantastic bill to pass, and I can't understand any kind of reasoning why it was not passed, but it's Congress.
That's why.
Yeah.
They hate women. They hate women.
Exactly. Mary has always been very open and honest about her trauma. She suffered with years of depression and had trouble leaving her home, even for the simplest of tasks. She is the mother of 2 boys, like I had mentioned, and they are the ones that help her push through to survive every day. That's what Mary says. She was only awarded about $6,000 from the California Victim Fund. She founded the Mary Vincent Foundation to help other survivors of violent crimes. And just some insight into the trauma that she has had. She said, quote, "I have broken bones thanks to my nightmares. I have jumped up, dislocated my shoulder just trying to get out of bed. I've cracked ribs and smashed my nose." At one point in her life, she fell in financial and personal hardships as she struggled to cope, but she finally found some type of way to help her heal. she had big dreams of dancing, and even though those were dashed, she was able to find a new creative outlet in painting, drawing, and sketching. And before the incident, she said that she couldn't even draw a straight line, but now she creates paintings, chalk pastels, and draws portraits on commission, and they are very, very incredible. This is really tragic, and it both says something about our criminal justice system and our healthcare system. But she was not able to afford nice prosthetics. There was a time in her life where her prosthetic broke, and she had just gotten it, and it would cost her thousands and thousands of dollars to replace. And she couldn't afford that. But being very creative, she made herself custom prosthetics to help her do more than she would normally be able to do. So, for example, she made herself different hooks to help her paint, and she even made some to allow her to go bowling. Mm-hmm. She had done interviews in her time, and she has made it very clear that she wants to lead a quiet life and only works with reporters she feels like she can trust. And I also wanted to mention that today, according to RAINN, out of every 1,000 reported sexual assaults, only 230 are reported to police. Only 46 reports will lead to an arrest. 995 out of the 1,000 will go free. Less than 0.5% of reported rapes will lead to a conviction and incarceration. And perpetrators of sexual violence are still the least likely type of convicted criminal to serve prison time. But Mary Vincent is doing much better now. I really want to emphasize that. She, despite her trauma, she is finding a lot of peace and a lot of happiness through her art and her foundation in helping other people. And she has been an incredible advocate for victims and their rights ever since. And that is the incredible story of Mary Vincent. Sorry, go Puff.
It's okay. That's just, you know how I feel about that kind of stuff.
I know.
Yeah. Very...
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just a very, very important...
No, it is, and that's why I wanted to cover it. And
right. I think it is. I think we need to talk more about how unfair the justice system is when it comes to sexual violence.
No, absolutely, 110%.
I look at, like, people like Brock Turner and fucking...
disgusting.
Kavanaugh. And it breaks my heart because
it tells women that they are not as important as
No.
a man's potential.
No, and so much of it is like, so much of the argument that has to be made is like, well, what if it was your daughter? What if it was your wife? You shouldn't, you shouldn't
have to get
it shouldn't matter. Women are human, and you should care about women because they're people. Like, it's...
Exactly.
And it's so disheartening to continuously see perpetrators of sexual violence get away with it, especially on large scales. Like, Kevin Spacey was just recently found not guilty of sexual violence. Bill Cosby just walked free, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
A year ago? I'm shocked Harvey Weinstein is still fucking locked up at this point. It is exhausting. And I spoke about this lightly before, but it's exhausting being a woman and knowing how little worth you have in the judicial system. It really is.
It's true. It's true. It's very true.
In the judicial system, in the legal system, how little worth you have as a woman.
And that's the thing. I hate to even call it the judicial system because truly it is not about justice. It is about who can make a better case. It's not about helping. It's not about doing what it was supposed to do to begin with. It has become so convoluted from its intent, and I understand that that's how life is and how power works in both law and for people, but it's disgusting. I think it's I have a very hard time understanding first of all, how people can do what they do. But second, like, how can you defend someone? I understand that everyone has a right to a fair trial. I totally get that. But how a fair trial doesn't mean a deceitful trial. You know what I mean? And that's what I think. I have a really hard time with that, because you can obviously be jailed if you commit perjury, but at what point can we draw the line? You know, because you can say, Lawrence, his truth is that he was the victim. Obviously, that's not correct. But why can't we perjure him for lying? You know what I mean? Like little things like this that...
This is going to sound so stupid, but it's an argument I made in high school about Abigail Williams from The Crucible.
Yeah.
People back then, during the Salem witch trials, which again imposed violence on mostly women.
Yes.
And I don't know if we can say that it was rooted in sexism or not. I don't know.
Oh, 100% it was.
I mean,
100%.
Yeah, I mean, probably, but like...
I'm going to say that. It absolutely was.
The people of Salem were so wrong, obviously. But they believed in their cause so much, and you couldn't tell them they were wrong. You couldn't tell them that they were lying. You couldn't tell. You'd just be accused. You would be accused of witchcraft then, and you'd be in the same
conspiring
position
with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it just becomes like, witch hunts are still very real.
Yes, very much so.
I think that they get misused a lot. The context of them, I still think that they are rooted in misogyny.
I don't know how you feel about the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial.
I have a lot of... I never know. I never know.
Maybe we'll cover this in a different one because it's getting pretty long. But very quickly, I will say, do I think that Amber is innocent? No. Do I think that Johnny is innocent? Absolutely not. I think they both made lots of mistakes. I think they were both suffering mental health wise. I think they both have a lot of issues.
You see the turn.
But
when things started to turn in Johnny Depp's favor, the vile things
I have a problem with. Awful. I
don't think I am of the mind neither of them are innocent.
Exactly. Neither of them are innocent. Both of them are guilty.
I don't
100%.
know. Like,
they both did bad things to each other. Neither of them are innocent. But the amount of hatred that she got.
There are things that people said that I believe, like, do I think it was necessarily fair for him to lose all his business deals and she keep hers?
No.
Not necessarily.
No.
But do I think that they both went... I don't necessarily think either of them are very, like, decent people.
No.
But,
and listen, I love Johnny. So, like, Johnny Depp's acting career aside, I obviously don't know him as a person. I love his movies, but I'm not going to judge his character based off of how much I like watching Edward Scissorhands.
Right. We can do this with any celebrity.
Exactly.
Like the Olivia Rodrigo.
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. Olivia Rodrigo and Sabrina Carpenter and Joshua Bassett.
Yes.
Death threats upon death threats sent to Sabrina Carpenter. You don't fucking know these people. You don't know them personally. What are you doing? But that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other problem that I have with just the world today. It's fucking crazy.
I miss talking to you, though.
Miss talking to you too, buddy.
Thank you for enduring our feminist agenda. If you want some more of our ideology, you can check us out at ME Crisis Pod on Instagram and Facebook. Probably not Twitter anymore. Maybe Threads. I might check that out for us. feel free to email us at myexistentialcrisispodcast@gmail.com. If you have any story suggestions you'd like us to cover, feel free to let us know. And Guff Puff, I missed you. I'm so glad to have you back.
Good to be back. Get out of here, man.
Take care, guys.
Bye.